Hey now, Jim. Morning, Brian. Carolyn, Konstantinos, Adair, Osho. Hey, Osho. Welcome. All right, then, folks. Oh, hang on. Let me turn my video on. There we go. All right, let's get going with the session. Now, the mood out there is a little bit tentative. It's tilting risk off in the equity space, and there's a bit of uncertainty ahead of Powell speaking on Friday. There is a speech from Powell coming up today as well. Let me just check the timing on that. I think that's during our session. We've got the Jackson Hole Symposium beginning today. And yeah, we could have Powell speaking later. So you just got to be aware of that. Now, what markets are sort of a bit afraid of is that Powell's going to push back against the recent September rate cut expectations. That's seen as like an 80% chance. If you just take a look at short-term interest rate markets, let's just go over here. See, it's like an 80% chance that the Fed's going to cut by 25 basis points in September. So what we've got to be careful of here is that Powell doesn't start talking about tariff risk, some of the more recent inflation readings, and he sort of plays down the recent weakness of the jobs market. And then we could see a bit of a pushback against the expectations of a rate cut in September and another rate cut in December. So that's the risk here, okay? And it's a real risk, something we've got to be aware of. Now, looking at the calendar with the S&P Global Manufacturing PMI prints and Services PMI prints coming up. Now, they're not as influential as the ISM prints, but still they could affect the mood at 245. So that's sort of a small event. I'm not expecting much from them, but just they could impact the mood with not much going on. The latest earnings are out. Walmart earnings are reasonable. There's no major problem there with the US consumer. And there is some news, I think, with Meta that they've sort of frozen hiring in their AI sector. And there was a little bit of negative sentiment in Europe today with Ukraine's Air Force. They said that Russia used over 500 drones and 40 missiles in an overnight attack. That's just pushed back against some of the optimism that markets have been seeing regarding Europe. And you can see the DAX is down, Euro Stoxx down, FTSE 100 taking a drop lower, and volatility pushing higher, and US equity futures lower. So we are in a kind of selling mood. And technically, remember these levels we were looking at yesterday? That's an attempt at breaking underneath that technical level in the NASDAQ. And in the S&P 500, we've got a technical break of this region. So sellers are technically in charge here. Volatility pushing higher. So equity selling is the name of the game at the moment. Jackson Hole Symposium on Friday. That's the risk. Looking over other markets, you can see yields are just pushing up. There was news that Fed's Cook could end up getting fired by Trump. Cook's pushed back against that today. But yields are slightly up across the world. Gold, silver, finding bids yesterday and remaining bid, probably on those sort of stagflationary fears, just keeping underlying bids in gold and silver. The dollar is pretty flat, really waiting for the next catalyst from what Powell's going to say. Is Powell going to confirm the September rate cut? Then that can allow for more selling. He's going to contradict it, then we could get another pullback in the dollar. So that's really what's driving dollar pairs at the moment. In terms of the currency space, very mixed bag out there. The euro was lower on the news about the drones and the missile attacks from Russia into Ukraine, and then a bit higher on some better PMI prints that came out earlier in the session. But the market's just not focusing on that data at the moment. So yeah, a little bit of euro strength, but euro's really driven by the dollar at the moment.
For the US, Tesla S&P Global Ratings analyst says economic impact of US tariffs will be key for future US sovereign rating actions.
The Aussie New Zealand dollar long that I took has been stopped out, just that little region there, just underneath this swing point. So as that swing point was taken out, I'm just out of that. I still think there's potential upside in the Aussie New Zealand dollar, and we'll consider another entry on just a break of that region. If we broke out of that channel to the upside, then I would be happy to have another go at it. but I stopped out of that high tight flag position. So that's a losing trade there for the Aussie New Zealand dollar. Let's see what else I got. Yeah, silver longs I'm maintaining. Major level to look at in the S&P ES is 6,350, so we're not too far away from that. So let's go over to look at the ES. See on the hourly chart, we've got a developing value area, right? Developed value area that we've sold off from earlier in the session. I've taken some shorts today because it was just the market was moving quite nicely in Europe. I don't know if anyone else got anything in this, but that was a nice area when these sort of took out these buyers up here, and I took some shorts coming down here, a bit similar to yesterday, that drop down from that level, pull back, we've had another partial drop down to that level. We've got room to go. That 6,350 is that SD, that standard deviation level. So I'm just going to put that in at the 6,350, and let's just, yeah. Now, if you look at the 15-minute chart, you can see we're pulling into that developed value area, low from yesterday. We've pushed into it, tried to sell underneath it, but we haven't trapped buyers down there. You see, buyers haven't got trapped. We're sort of in this pullback mode. Here, sellers trap buyers up here, right? Had a pullback to the standard deviation, now sell off. So a bit mixed at the moment, and we'll see how the open goes. But none of these buyers have been able to get trapped. See on the 5-minute, those buyers weren't trapped here. So buyers here, markets come back in with more buyers up here. So we could have a look, but this is kind of indecisive now for sellers. We need something more decisive to give us a clear signal lower. Because at the moment we might get a bit of a retracement back up to that level. We'll see. Ideally, if we close underneath those, if we get underneath these buyers here on the 15-minute chart, then we can look for a run down to the next value area down to the 6,380. So there is quite a sort of potential move there if we get people trapped at that level. You can obviously look at the standard deviation to see if you get any buyers trapped up against there. But buyers trying to come in now, so we'll have to see. Nice couple of trades here. Nice one that I took was these sellers here, trapping these buyers, then back up to that standard deviation, and then it was selling back off that. Right, nice little level down there. So I'm a little bit uncertain now in the near-term direction, but we'll see. If those buyers trap those sellers, then we could have a little recovery on our hands, but we'll see when we get closer to the open. In terms of value at the moment, we're trying to open underneath the value area low from yesterday. So the market is trying to go imbalance as we come into the session. So markets opened up in imbalance and is now trying to go imbalance. So we'll have to see how that goes. And that is in keeping with volatility pushing higher. So it wouldn't be a surprise to see, further downside. Just see here, sellers trapping buyers. Not a trade for me because we're in man's land. But it's sort of a pullback to that standard deviation. Could be a nice potential short area back up there if we want to go back up there. So we shall see. Apart from that, it's a bit of a sleepy summer day, and just waiting on Powell for Friday really, but market's quite happy to sell. I think keep your eye on the VIX today for the general sentiment, and notice some technical selling that we may be getting in the S&P and the NASDAQ. But markets look like they're coming into the session wanting to sell. So we'll see how that goes, and in which case you can see that price is starting to move already, and with buyers trapping sellers up here, big retracement up to that VWAP back up to the 6,400 could offer a decent area for selling. So up to this area, or else if we get sort of if these buyers get trapped, then we're looking at further moves lower. So we'll have to see. The inventory is negative for the majority of the session, has suddenly turned positive in the last sort of 15 minutes. So there are some buyers down here that we acknowledge, and that's turned inventory positive, but we'll see how they do. 5-minute chart coming up. Now this is quite interesting. If you just look here, that's the 15, that's the hour. Okay, so let me just get this right. Hour, and I'm going to turn this to the 15. And then this will be interesting to see how this closes on the 5. Right, 52 seconds to close. You know, sellers underneath that area, then that could be the beginning of a further sell-off. Otherwise, then we're just going to wait for the open. How did you get on with that Nasdaq trade yesterday, Carolyn? Did count? I mean, it was a great move. Lovely, well done. We had a good session yesterday. We were sort of taking little bites out of it as it kept going down. 4 seconds. That's holding there. That may fall down here from here, but really I want to see something more convincing. So if I get what I'm looking for at the open, if these buyers or these buyers get trapped by sellers at the open, then I'll be looking for a short-term opportunity to sell down to the 6380, maybe beyond, but about maybe 6376, 738, something like that. So that's what I'll be looking for. The rough with the smooth, right? It's an emotional game, trading. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're here, new day, new reset. Let's look for things that are clear, clean, obvious. We've got value area low. Market looks like it wants to open imbalance. So at the moment, we're expecting an imbalance day, and we're looking for that trend continuation to keep moving lower. Okay, folks, so here we are. Let's just have another little eye of this. So 1 hour, sellers, trap buyers here. Not there. So we're now pulling up to the first standard deviation. These 15-minute buyers haven't been able to trap sellers, but these may be able to trap sellers, but we don't want to go long here because you're just going into that resistance and going against the clear imbalance to the downside. And we are, as it stands, opening imbalance. So we really want to consider shorts. Now on the 5-minute, we've got buyers here, but no one's trapped. So the thing to just be aware of, what I'm going to consider here is I'm going to consider shorts if I get buyers trapped up here against that standard deviation. And then I'm just going to be careful if these sellers get trapped. Right, if we push above this level, then I'm thinking again, I'm looking for potential shorts up here. VIX is elevated. We are looking at still, we're imbalanced as it stands. Let's see. All right. Delta has turned positive now in the Globex Open. So we are attempting to have a little push here, and we're attempting to trap these sellers here. So we may get a little bump up here, but I don't want to go long. I only want to go short when I get the right opportunity. Now get underneath that level. If you get sellers trapping buyers, then there may be an opportunity to go short. Or you've got buyers trapped up here, or looking to go short from the 400. So that's what I'm looking for, folks. I'd probably prefer the 400 above everything. I'm just refreshing my tick chart so all the levels are correct. Right, okay. Okay, here we go, folks. 47 seconds. Looks like it wants to go higher. But I'm going to be keeping my eye out because the buyers got trapped here and here. So if we pump up to that level, then I'll watch out for potential sellers. We'll see. Cumulative delta starting build up. There are some buyers building here. So I'll just play it by ear as we go. Looks like buyers have trapped sellers there. Looks like we've got above the cumulative delta, above the standard deviation. Let's see. We'll consider a short if we get underneath this standard deviation. Okay, here we go. buyers still pushing in. Okay, now sellers trying to go underneath that standard deviation. Right, so sellers coming in. Let's see if I get some buyers come back up here and then get sell underneath. I'll have a quick short here if I can.
And on the geopolitical footing here, just President Trump posted on Truth, he does note this is very hard, if not impossible, to win war without attacking an invader's country. It's like a great team in sports, the tacit defense.
Right, I'll take that out. Quickly took that off. Very small profit.
Just a bit further here, it does note that regardless, this is a war that would never have happened if he was president regarding Russia and Ukraine. Biden would not let Ukraine fight back, only defend. How did that work out? Just making you aware. Trump.
Okay, the careful thing we have to do is that buyers trap sellers, so this could be a bit of a bottom. Okay, now we're coming back up to the standard deviation. If you look on the tick chart, you can see clearly what's happening here. Right, see those buyers got trapped. So a quick short down and didn't just had time to go there. Quick sell with buyers getting trapped. See if that's another little shift lower. No, I'm not going to play around with it because this is a potential support area. So with those buyers trapping those sellers there, just leave it. Okay, let's see what we get on the 5. So on the 15, we've got the potential to trap those buyers. Volatility is pushing higher. So this looks good for a potential short here. Let's see what we get. You see the problem here is those buyers have trapped those sellers, so you could get some dip buyers coming in, which is what they keep doing. They keep coming in. Looking at the 5 would be great if we could get underneath those buyers, but more buyers building in. Delta is positive. Okay, we just got to be patient. We managed to eke something out of that.